Our guest speaker is someone you may have seen around campus, taking photos and quietly working behind the scenes. Ms. Linda McWilliams is BC High's web content editor. Her job is to manage the school's online presence, and with this school's level of activity, it's no easy task. Wrapping up her third year here, she also works closely with marketing and communications. In short, a very busy person. Ms. McWilliams grew up in Michigan and Maryland and graduated from high school 10 years ago. It is our good fortune that she then came to Boston, attended Boston College, where she studied film and psychology. Upon graduation, Ms. McWilliams volunteered in Boston for City Year and spent 2 years at Dearborn STEM Academy in Dorchester. After our guest talk, there will be a short question and answer period. Let's show a warm welcome to Ms. McWilliams.
Thank you for the wonderful introduction, and thank you for having me today. I'm really excited to be able to share in this moment to celebrate art and to celebrate a lot of your hard work and creativity. It's really impressive to go out into the hall and see all the beautiful artwork that you have up there, so congratulations. Growing up, art has always been part of my life in some shape or form, whether it was trying to dance or trying to play an instrument, even begging my mom to get me one of those small watercolor kits because I really wanted to be like this guy. If you don't know, this is Bob Ross, and every Saturday morning on PBS, this guy was a magician with the canvas, the sound of the brush, the way he would create those little trees from nothing. I wanted to be like this guy, and frankly, I wasn't Bob Ross. And although I was inspired by art, and inspired by his art, encouraged by my mom to be creative and express myself, I never thought I could actually make a career out of it. And especially making a career out of being creative in the arts, because honestly, I didn't think I was good enough. And I hesitated to take a risk. And that was up until high school. Every child is an artist. The problem is staying an artist when you grow up. Pablo Picasso. So during my sophomore year, I took my first year of computer graphics, and it was to fulfill my arts credit, and the purpose of this course was to really introduce students to the principles of design, computer imaging, graphics, typography, and layout. A lot of the stuff you may be learning in your classes now, and how to really bring your ideas to life. And so we used a lot of the modern platforms like Photoshop and InDesign and things like Adobe Illustrator, and it was in the classroom that a spark was ignited for me. I remember learning about the cultural and aesthetically diverse approaches to design, and in a way I've never been taught before. We explored art history and studied the works of pioneers and people like Jean-Michel Basquiat, and we were being pushed to create and be creative. I was thinking outside the box and was able to present work that I was proud of and work that was authentic. So these are two of my projects from high school, and just because we were encouraged to be creative doesn't mean I was actually creating masterpieces, but I thought this was pretty cool for 2005. And we were learning to be confident in our work, and I think that mattered. So I took 2 years of this class, Computer Graphics 1 and Advanced Computer Graphics, and I remember wanting to do more and wanting to get better and find other opportunities to create and bring ideas to life. So I practiced Photoshop, and I eventually joined the photography club so I could learn how to take images and use those images in my designs. I was really shy in school, and I had to actually step out of my comfort zone to find avenues to share work with others. I eventually joined the yearbook club and learned used what I've learned in computer graphics class and in photography club to eventually help design our school yearbook. So the original photo is at the top, and the cover and the back cover of the book is at the bottom. Funny story about this picture, our club moderator actually took us out to the middle of the highway so we could set up a camera and capture this cool image. But I say do not do that. It's quite dangerous, but got a really cool image there. So around the same time I was learning design and learning how to create and take photos, MySpace was gaining popularity. And for those of you who don't know, MySpace was like Facebook, except it was the original, it was the home of the original selfie. And it was also a place where people were sharing their designs and their creative pictures. And one thing about MySpace that many people don't know is that you can actually learn how to code using MySpace. They had a way for you to go in, edit the code, and create really cool layouts, and learn simple web coding. So I was creating color schemes and gradients and animated text. And as silly as it sounds, MySpace was the place where I learned how to do web design. You can't use up creativity. The more you use, the more you have. Maya Angelou. So when I moved up here to Boston for college, I realized, hey, I could actually turn some of these practical skills I learned at your age and in high school into real freelance work. So I started out building web pages for student groups around campus and for other artists trying to promote their work. And I found a really cool web work study job on campus as a web service assistant, and I figured out, A, I can help pay for school, design personal web pages for professors, learn basic design principles for web and print, and have fun doing it. So this was actually one of my first websites that I created at BC. It was for a student group called Dance Marathon. And this is another freelance web design that I did for a professor at BC who was showcasing some of his work for the faculty there. So eventually, I got my own camera and continued practicing my personal photography and even taking photos of groups on campus. The top two are photos of a big event on campus that happens as a dance competition, and the bottom two are just kind of me playing around with angles and really taking photos of nature and experimenting ways to capture the world around me. So I enlisted a few friends who I could also practice on constantly. And a lot of these portraits I took of friends on campus were in black and white. I used high contrast and angles, and really focused on the framing. And while majoring in both film and psych and studying the technical aspects of film and learning about theories in psychology classes, figuring out how photos like these can understand how photography and film really impact human emotion and the human brain. This was my artsy phase. And for me, college wasn't just about getting the best grades or landing the best internships, although those things are very important. It was a time to take every opportunity I was given to learn and grow and create and learn from others, and I'm thankful for the people around me and family and friends who were able to encourage this. So fast forward to City Year. After graduating, as mentioned, I served 2 years as a tutor and mentor at the Dearborn Middle School and also Mildred Ave School, and even when I got there, I never stopped creating because the service fueled the passion more. We created videos and bulletin boards, painted huge murals in our communities, designed newsletters, and even taught lesson plans that were centered around creativity and expression. Learning from students who we serve that art matters and incorporating art into education gives students the confidence and the excitement to create and be expressive. And to be a part of this every day for 2 years made a huge impact on me. I loved art, and I wanted to use this to inspire others. I wanted to make a career out of it. So coming to BC High 3 years ago, I had the wonderful opportunity to work closely and collaborate with faculty, staff, and even students on a multitude of web design projects and special video projects. And taking the skills that I learned at your age and throughout college and applying them to the real world. So my main responsibility is to make sure our website is consistent and up to date and reflects the richness that happens in our community. And that means overseeing both the internal and external web pages, graphics, banners, and buttons, and anything that's really needed on the website to help promote who we are. And it's not just about making pages attractive, but it's about using those principles of design to build pages that are functional and that really enhance the user experience. So on the left side is our resource board, of which many of you may know, and these are a few of the banners I designed for the Eagle Update. And there are also design projects that are not necessarily web-based, such as this digital signage, but use technology that takes information from our website, like our calendar events and our news stories, to put them on the digital signage. For instance, many of you may have seen this strange robot that's at the front entrance, and it's used to show events that are happening today, as well as big events that may be happening for the week. And hopefully sometime in the future, we'll be able to implement this technology throughout the school to deliver really cool content, and hopefully content that's actually created by students. Other special projects includes photographing and videotaping school-wide events that we put on the website and on our social media, as well as all-out video productions like these up here that take a little longer to create and are usually a collaboration effort between a department and myself. But one of my favorite projects so far has to be the whiteboard videos, which started with a single idea from Mr. Drain and blossomed into this full production that resulted in 3 animation videos. And the admissions department actually used these videos to help families make the decision about coming to BC High. And the special part of it was that we enlisted the help of 5 students, 2 students from AP Studio Art, as well as 3 students who were gracious enough to let us use their voice and their likeness in the video. Actually, let me go back to that. And a bit of the technology we used was kind of new. One is called Sparkle, and that's actually a whiteboard animation software. If you're interested, you can go to their website and download it, where you can create really cool whiteboard videos, use Adobe Final Cut Pro, GarageBand, Photoshop, and a converter that took images from Photoshop images and turned them into line drawings. And you'll see on this slide, we took pictures. That's Andrew, Julian, and Travis Epstein at the bottom. So took their picture, threw it into Photoshop, and converted that image into a 3D image that was used, which is the third one, to create the animation. And for our students, both Danny and Tyler, they drew a few more, but these are the 2 big ones. Drew it in color, scanned it in, and then cleaned it up in Photoshop so it can be used for animation as well. And 4 months later, countless script rewrites and trying to learn the software and a hard drive full of images, this was the final result.
Hi, my name is Andrew, class of 2015, and I'm here to tell you why I chose BC High. Since 1863, BC High's mission has been to form young men of competence, conscience, and compassion. But I learned in my Christian thought class that the roots of our story began almost 500 years ago, in 1521, when a Spanish nobleman and soldier by the name of Inigo Lopez de Loyola was gravely wounded in a battle. During his long recovery, Inigo passed the time by reading 2 books, one about the life of Christ and the other about the tales of the saints. As he read these books, Inigo noticed a change taking place within him. No longer did he dream of serving the king as a valiant knight, but imagined devoting his life to the service of God and others, similar to the saints he read about. Able to walk again, Inigo left behind his life as a soldier and embarked on a transformational journey, begging, preaching, and caring for the sick and poor. Along the way, he kept a notebook to record his reflections, meditations, and prayers. It's from this little book that the spiritual exercises would later emerge. Inigo went on to receive a formal education at the University of Paris, where he adopted the Latin name Ignatius, and and remained there for nearly a decade. He formed a group of friends who shared his common desire to serve others. And it was these early companions, now known as the Jesuits, who would soon grow in number and set out into the world with the purpose of making God real for the people. These Jesuits saw the way that art, science, mathematics, architecture, medicine, law, drama, and music could all be vehicles to seek God, and used Ignatius's spiritual exercises to help people deepen their experience with God in their daily lives. Fast forward to today. BCI continues to challenge young men to think critically, act in service, and be leaders in our world. Like St. Ignatius, you'll discover your own hidden talents and passions while growing with others along the way. I chose BC High to embark on my own spiritual journey in and beyond the classroom, to be a part of a loving community that encourages me to try new things and always strive for my best. To be a BC High student is to be a part of a larger story in Jesuit education. To be a BC High student is to be a man for others. So my question to you is this: will you choose BC High?
So it's through these experiences with design and video and digital media over the years that in in different environments and across different mediums, that there's a few things that I've learned to hold true as a working arts professional that I would like to pass on to you. Inject creativity into everything you do. Whether it's the clothes you put on in the morning, or the way you write your emails, or even the Instagram filter you choose for your photos. Everything we do is an act of self-expression. And creativity is not just an activity that's reserved for writers or musicians or designers. Creativity can be found in almost any job, in any major. You just have to find and create your daily inspiration. And be passionate about something. What makes you unique, and what skills do you bring to the table? Because anyone can have a great idea or build or create, but by injecting creativity into what you do can really bring life to your art and inspire others. Be open to new experiences. I don't believe that creativity just happens without being intentional. It takes a level of optimism and willingness to try new things. Creativity develops from your experiences, and being open to new experiences is critical to your growth as a student, as an artist, and as a professional. For me, it was deciding to take computer graphics in high school and seeking new opportunities in college to grow. For you, it may be entering in an art competition or exploring new approaches to your art. But whatever it is, I challenge you to go out and master a new skill, have fun, and really engage with people and ideas. And lastly, follow your fears. I received this piece of advice from a really great friend in Whittier who lives by this message every day. We often hear the phrase, follow your dreams and follow your passions. And although these concepts are important, these dreams and passions may not be indicative of what we actually want. Now, following your fears doesn't mean to go out and do anything crazy or dangerous or get into any trouble. But it's a call to move you towards that part of you that's actually afraid of being seen or being judged or rejected. And this fear blocks us from reaching our full creative potential and unlocking new skills. And I struggle often with the thought that maybe someone won't like my idea or maybe my work isn't good enough. But it's about practicing and taking the steps to overcome self-doubt. You have a lot of opportunities here in high school and in college, and especially beyond. And it's continuing to find what moves you, what you're good at, and how you can use those talents to serve others. So whether you go on to be a working arts professional, a chef, an engineer, an accountant, or an athlete, follow your fears. And don't just ask, what's the worst that could happen? Ask yourself, what would happen if I succeed?